Welcome to Hannity. Big breaking and perhaps hopefully game-changing news tonight. The red tape has been cut. The FDA is acting. The president is acting, all at unprecedented speed. And America's top scientists, medical researchers, doctors are now working around the clock on new major breakthrough ways to treat the coronavirus, actually using medicines that are FDA approved and already in use. We have these incredible details coming up tonight. 3 separate areas we're working on right now. Now, we're also in the midst of a major worldwide pandemic. Sadly, this full-blown global crisis might have been prevented or at least mitigated if not for the corrupt actions of the communist Chinese government. According to this top study from a British university, 95% of all coronavirus cases may have, in fact, been prevented if China didn't try to hide and cover up this deadly disease at every important moment. And as the president indicated earlier today, he's been saying it really more loudly than anyone else I can think of. China cannot be trusted. Take a look.
On China, they reported for the first time since the outbreak no new cases over a 24-hour period. Do you have any reason to disbelieve them?
As far as believing what they're putting out now, I hope it's true. Who knows? But I hope it's true. I really do.
Are you thinking about any types of repercussions for China? And are you also rethinking sort of the supply lines for our manufacturing industry?
I don't want to comment on that right now.
Sadly, we can't trust anything coming from China's government. So here are the facts. As early as December, high-ranking Chinese officials, they actually silenced the doctors on the front lines and the journalists, if you even can say they have journalists, they don't have freedom of the press, who bravely tried to tell the truth to the entire world, give the important information, vital information to the world about the coronavirus. Now, many of those doctors who put their lives at risk, they are dead. They died trying to save others in their country and worldwide. And on January 18th, when the disease was rapidly spreading in the Wuhan province of China, well, the city hosted a massive potluck dinner with tens of thousands of attendees. It's incomprehensible how dumb that is. It wasn't until January 20th, after the virus already spread all over the world, that China actually admitted the disease was contagious person to person. Now, the 21st of January, we had our first known case here. The 31st, 10 days later, that was the travel ban. I'm getting to that in a second. This is the kind of botched, Chernobyl-like cover-up, sadly predictable for communist governments. Doesn't mean we shouldn't get along with them, but we need to know that they're hostile actors. They didn't act alone. The World Health Organization, everybody needs to know this. They are a corrupt and frankly useless organization, not unlike the United Nations from my perspective. They were supposed to be an organization the world could trust. Instead, all they've been doing is spreading Chinese Communist Party propaganda from day one. They haven't done any independent fact-checking, and they deserve blame for this, as does China. Look at this. January 14th. That's late in the game by this point. World Health Organization tweets, quote, Chinese authorities have found no clear evidence of human-to-human transmission of the virus. If they had any sense, they would have known that's not true. They'd done their own research. They would have known in 5 minutes that's not true. Now, WHO's director and general-in-chief is a pretty sketchy individual. No medical training. He's been carrying China's water for months on this. According to a brand new report in The Hill tonight, he turned a blind eye to what has happened in Wuhan and the rest of China after meeting with President Xi in January. And, quote, from the outset, he defended China despite its gross mismanagement of the highly contagious disease, even suggesting that the president's travel ban to and from China was racist. That one decision, history will bear this out. 10 days after the first identified case in this country, January 21st, first case, January 31st, travel ban. That one decision did more to protect the health and lives of American citizens than any one thing that has happened. Thousands and thousands of more Americans would have contracted this virus, and it is incalculable how many more Americans would have died exponentially. We would have been in a far worse position than we are now. And how sad is your mob and the media? Do they ever give the president credit? In retrospect, the president was right with that. Don't hold your breath. Same with the Democrats. Dr. Joe Biden, that very day that the president implemented that travel ban, oh, this is what he had to say. Take a look.
In moments like this is where the credibility of the president is most needed, as he explains what we should and should not do. This is no time for Donald Trump's record of hysterical xenophobia, and fear-mongering to lead the way instead of science.
Hysterical xenophobia and fear. Oh, wake up, Joe. What's even worse, though, is even knowing what we now know. This is even worse. You know, Dr. Quid Pro Quo says he would not have implemented the ban. Like everything else this man does, he is clueless with zero awareness, stuck in that swamp-style thinking and stupidity. And now that brand of identity politics is like the new favorite tactic of China's propaganda department, which is now working overtime to deflect blame. Now, other frequently used disinformation campaigns include a conspiracy theory that U.S. troops are responsible for the Chinese coronavirus. That is a lie. That is an outright lie. China's oppressive regime caused hundreds of thousands worldwide to get sick. It has caused sickness, death, and destruction for thousands and thousands more. They must be held accountable. And by the way, another is laughable, the claim that more propaganda. They're now claiming that they're leading the way worldwide in the fight against the virus, even though they're the ones that covered it up all these months. Unfortunately, some Democrats and, of course, the gullible media mob that just hate President Trump so much, they're now echoing these ridiculous Chinese lies and propaganda, including, former Obama National Security Advisor, the genius that she is, Susan Rice. Take a look.
China is not behaving well in trying to blame this on the United States. Yeah. But the flip side of it is we're not behaving well when we talk about, as the president does every day, the Chinese virus, the Wuhan flu, and all of these racist descriptions.
Really, Susan? Susan Rice, one of the single least trustworthy individuals on the face of the earth, a national disgrace. Remember, 5 Sunday shows, blatant lies after the Benghazi attacks. That will never be forgotten. Good rule of thumb with Susan Rice. Whatever she says, believe the opposite. But I digress. Now, the media mob, their new favorite hysteria centers around a picture from a Washington Post photographer showing an up-close shot of the president's notes, where Corona is crossed out, replaced with Chinese. Business Insider article suggesting that he was using racism against China to try and distract from the president's disastrous coronavirus response. Fake news, CNN called it inaccurate, stigmatizing. Thousands of Americans will be sick and die. And this is what they're focused on? Really? Because we have all sorts of diseases. We laid them out last night, named after the location where they are discovered. More lying to their viewers because, of course, their agenda is to hate the president, even willing dupes to spread Chinese propaganda. It is pathetic. And today, President Trump had a message for his friends in the media mob. Take a look.
So why was the United States not prepared with more testing?
We were very prepared. The only thing we weren't prepared for was the media. The media has not treated it fairly. I'll tell you how prepared I was. I called for a ban from people coming in from China long before anybody thought it was. In fact, it was your network. I believe they called me a racist because I did that. It was many of the people in the room. They called me racist and other words because I did that, because I went so early. So when you say we weren't prepared, had I let these tens of thousands of people come in from China a day, we would have had something right now that would have been, you wouldn't have even recognized it compared to where we are.
Extremely well said. Here are some facts that the mob won't report. You know, the ones at the New York Times. Oh, I just love the New York Times. Trump virus. If you're feeling awful, you know who to blame. Oh, and president has a call with governors. Oh, president says you're on your own. No, he said, if you can do it faster, do it. We have your back. They forgot that part. That is called edited fake news. Now, thanks to the president's decisive actions, a new precedent has been set. I call this a paradigm shift. Going forward, future pandemics, unfortunately, they pop up. I wish they didn't. Travel bans will now be used quickly to slow the spread of the disease because it saves lives of Americans. The success of the president's public-private partnership surrounding testing, Another new massive paradigm shift. They're doing all of this on the fly in record time, keeping people out of hospitals. That will be how things work going forward. Telemedicine. My son has a fever. My daughter has a fever. Take a look at my son or daughter. What do? Do I need to go to the emergency room? Well, not now, but call me back in an hour and you FaceTime again. Now the United States is actively looking for ways to decrease our dependency on important goods and medicines manufactured in China. You know what? We can't afford to risk this any further. Now, the person has been warning us about China, that one person, for the longest time, President Trump. He's been right all along.